Welcome back to Syncrets to Success. This is day 23 of the Syncrets to Success podcast. And this one's going to be really interesting because it's really um, irrelevant to something that happened in my sync journey this week, literally like 2 days ago. Before we get into that, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, to this podcast. Check out the past episodes. Join the Syncrets to Success Facebook group and connect with me, Fingaz, DAFINGAZ. You can go to defingaz.com. You can check out some services if you want a one-on-one chat, some virtual production services. Go to all the links I'll have in the description. And if you want to use a great platform for cataloging your music, you can use Disco, which we'll talk a little bit about also in this podcast. But today, episode 23, we're going to dive into the fascinating world of remixes and covers and sync licensing. These are adaptations of existing songs that offer a unique set of opportunities and challenges for us as composers. So let's understand there's a huge potential of remixes and covers and sync licensing. They can breathe new life into familiar melodies, existing artists. They can provide fresh and exciting interpretations that can resonate with audiences, and they can offer a chance to add a unique twist to well-known tunes and make them suitable for various sync placements. So it's important to be aware of the opportunities and the threats and limitations of using remixes and covers and sync placements. While they can do everything I just mentioned, like infuse creativity, familiarity with a song or an artist, they must also still align with the visual narrative and the mood that will strike the right balance. That is really essential, getting the right balance between the track and the visuals. We also have to secure, not us, but someone has to secure the necessary permissions and licenses for remixes and cover versions. That is crucial. Someone will have to get permission from the original song's copyright holders on the publishing and master side, depending on what versions you're using, to make sure you can use a song in the visual medium. And if you don't get these licenses, that can result in legal complications, and that can also hinder the sync licensing of that song and possibly your future sync licensing endeavors. So remixes and cover versions do involve leveraging popular songs or creating unique adaptations for sync licensing. They can also add a contemporary and relatable feel to a project. And us as music creators, we have the creative freedom to reimagine these songs to suit the specific needs of the scene. Some examples of successful sync placements involve remixes, covers. You hear them in, personally, I do trailerized remixes or trailerized covers, but really trailerized remixes where I take an existing song, I take out the music. So I'm creating a new master, but I'm keeping the publishing. If you're looking at the rights of the song, I'm creating a new master using trailer. I create a trailer track. I keep the vocals there, and the songwriting and everything stays there, but I'm creating a new master around the vocals. And actually, I actually chop up the vocals. So the vocals aren't always in the order for trailerization. I might move some things around, but that's like a reimagination of the song for cinematic purposes. So whether it's a classic song reimagined for like a car commercial or a modern twist on a retro hit for a TV show, these adaptations can create memorable and impactful moments in visual media. Strategies for presenting remixes and covers to music supervisors effectively involve showcasing unique qualities and the emotional resonance that they bring to the visuals, if there are visuals. Sometimes, and I'll talk about an example shortly of a cover, but sometimes you're given a brief and they want a cover song and they want a specific type of cover, and you have to follow that brief. So there aren't always visuals you have to follow, but just know that with sync, that music will be put to visuals. So you want to keep that in mind when you're creating the songs or these covers or these remixes. You want to highlight how these adaptations enhance the storytelling and contribute to the overall impact of the scene. Remixes and covers, they offer a dynamic avenue for us as composers to explore in the sync licensing world. We have to understand their potential, secure the necessary permissions, which is usually done by the library or the production house, or the director, agency, whoever's working on the product, the commercial, the movie, the TV show. And we have to present them effectively to these music supervisors, and we can leverage these adaptations to create compelling soundtracks that captivate audiences. So 2 examples. Again, I trailerize songs when I meet singers, songwriters, producers, composers, artists, mostly in the hip-hop space, pop space. I ask them what song from their catalog do they want trailerized, and then I go and trailerize it. For example, I did All the Way Up. I've done Post Malone stuff. Which one did I do? Hollywood's Bleeding. I did First Class by Jack Harlow. I have about, so far, 30, 40 trailerizations in my catalog. Most of those are signed to one library, and hopefully we get some placements there. I haven't had a trailerize track placed, but when I approach these trailerizations, I recently posted on Instagram how I approach. Someone asked me what's the process. So I do have a process, and I hope to work on a course, a trailerization course, where I just show you how I trailerize a couple songs, or maybe I do one or two of them live. So stay tuned for that. But trailerization is one sort of remix type thing. It's not really a remix because it's a whole reimagination. And I failed. I stopped calling trailerizations remixes, because remix is basically, for me, a remix is taking the whole song as is and maybe creating a new musical world around it. But trailerization is a whole reimagining, moving vocal parts around, adding a lot of cinematic elements. It's a whole different beast than just remixing. And I have remixed songs before. I used to do piano remixes where I would take the instruments out and just do a piano sort of remix and keep the vocal there. And I sort of adapted that to trailerizations. So trailerizations is one type of sort of like a remix, but not a remix. But you can do remixes, you can do covers. So let's talk about covers. I recently had, literally 2 days ago, well, let's say about maybe 3 or 4 days ago, I had a request from a library to do a cover of a Broadway musical selection. Whenever I get these requests for briefs, and I know that I need an artist, I do the music first. So if I have time, I will create the music for it, and I will do the instrumental, and then I will find the artist, and hopefully someone that can do it before the deadline. So I had a couple days for this one. Reached out to one artist who she knocked it out. She did what she had to do the cover. She got the vocal parts in, but I submitted to the library about 3 or 4 days early. The library, the vocal wasn't a fit for what the library wanted. So the vocalist was cool, that she was like, thank you for the opportunity. And I have other placements with her. So, so she was like, feel free to find some other singers. So I reached out to some other singers from my Syncrets To Success group. Check out the group. The link's in the description. And found there's a singer I already knew from just different sync meetups. Saw him at NAMM, met him in person at NAMM, and I've just been seeing him over the years at different sync events. And he was also in the Syncrets To Success group. So I reached out to him. I knew he could nail it. And what the library wanted was a gospel type vocal. They wanted like soulful feel for this musical. It was like a Broadway musical selection, but they wanted to bring like a gospel vocal into it. So I had my instrumental already done. I did the instrumental in like an hour. It wasn't too crazy. It was like drums, piano, organ, bass, and I think I added strings and electric piano, and the rest was all vocal stuff. So wasn't too many crazy transitions and things in the song. It's actually a really famous song. I can't say what it is right now, but so worked on the instrumental for about an hour. We can even say 2 hours. Had the instrumental done, and then I was like, let me find some singers. Okay, female singer didn't work out. So then by this time, we were probably down to the last let's say 12 hours before the library had to submit to the client. So I'm finding singers. I reached out to probably about 4 or 5 singers. So here's one thing about making sure you can be found. So I have a directory. If you join the Syncrets To Success Facebook group, I have a directory. Put your information on the directory. So I started on the directory. I had one artist that I reached out to. I knew he could nail it, so I sent him the stuff. And he was like, yeah, let me see if I can work on it. Give me all the details. Send him the details. He was all in. And I was like, I want one other singer. So I reached out to, I checked the directory, and I saw some people. I searched my directory for singer and gospel. Saw some names. And some people didn't have links. I didn't have time to try to do the Google research of their name. They didn't have links, so I couldn't go to like their social media. I couldn't go to their YouTube. I needed to hear something. So I would see their name. If I didn't see the links, I had to keep going because I was on a last minute deadline. I wanted to find someone right away. Found one who did have a link, or at least their Instagram name. So I copied their Instagram name, put it on Google, went to their Instagram page, heard some stuff. I was like, okay, this guy sounds like he can do it. Again, we're down to like 12 hours, 10 hours. So that's the other thing. It's a Broadway's musical song, a lot of vocal parts. And I'm asking these guys to basically do these parts within a couple hours. So sent it to this guy, and he nailed it. He was like, I'm all in. I gotta, family stuff. He's like, I gotta pick up my daughter. Then when I get home, I'm gonna hit the studio. I'm gonna lock in. And 2 guys that sang these vocal parts. Within about, I'll say 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours, they had the whole song done. They had their vocal parts to me. It was all up to me to mix it. They said they're rough mixes, and I really liked, they had their own arrangements. They had different things in there, so I had to just pick and choose which parts to make the full song of all the parts that I got. And these guys nailed it. Long story short, well, it's a long story, and that's this whole episode. This was a cover song of a Broadway musical. We didn't have to do any clearances. It's just the directive was they couldn't have any union singers, and of course they couldn't use the original master. So these guys knocked it out of the park. Sent it to the library. Let's say from when I sent these guys the music, they had it to me within like 3-4 hours. I had it done. I had to sleep when it was late at night. I went to sleep at like 2-3 that morning. I was like, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna mix it. Because things will sound different after a long day, 3 in the morning. I got like 2 hours of sleep that night or morning, and then woke up, mixed it, and submitted it to the library by I'd say around 10 a.m. that morning. And let the library know, hey, I just sent it, and they were listening to it, and they were sending me all these messages as they were listening. They were listening. They were like, "This is insane." So much so that the library was like, "I need a replay button in Disco." So of course, I reached out to some people at Disco, like "Look, the library on it. Can we get a replay button?" Which makes sense because I like to replay stuff in Disco also. So Disco, as I mentioned, is a platform that I use to catalog my music, but it's also a platform that I use to share the music. It's a platform that a lot of these music supervisors and libraries use. There's a link for Disco. Check it out. I also have an interview with a Disco executive in the Syncrets To Success Facebook group. So join the group. Check out the interview with the Disco executive there. His name is Jay Ward. So shout out to these artists that knocked it out of the park. Shout out to the library. Shout out to the actual the sync agent at the library. She was very helpful, very communicative. Where she was like, with the original singer, she even got on the call with the original singer to give her tips, which a lot of libraries don't do, especially on a last minute project like this. Give her tips about vocal production and how to enhance her vocal. So I was just like, that was very helpful. She gave me tips on the song itself. She was like, can you do some things with the mix? And reach out to the other guys. They hit it out the park, man. When I tell you this song is probably my favorite, definitely probably my favorite cover I've ever done. It's the first cover I've ever done for Sync. And the experience was incredible. It was so fast, the way these guys worked, and of course I worked fast and had everything done, start to finish. Probably not counting the sleep. Counting sleep, it was let's say 8-ish hours, but not counting sleep, it was all done probably within 4 hours, start to finish, not counting like sleep and breaks and stuff in between. So much so that the library wants us to work on other stuff. So just nailing one project, getting it done that fast, which was insane, and getting it done at that quality, which hopefully I can talk about more about what it is once it gets placed. It was pitched to the project, and hopefully, the project it'll land, and we'll be on our way. So that was a long story about a cover, but that was my first experience as working on a cover in the sync licensing space. So I'm gonna end it there. This is probably a long episode. I'll find out when I edit it. It might be short. I talk fast. But that will conclude day 23 of the Syncrets To Success podcast. We are inching closer to the end of the podcast, or the end of the 30-day intro to the podcast. After that, I'll see what I do, maybe a weekly thing, or we'll find out. But yeah, that will be the end of day 23. Come back tomorrow, day 24, for Syncrets To Success podcast. I will see you tomorrow, where we'll talk about more gems. Again, join the Facebook group Syncrets To Success. Book a one-on-one if you want to have a chat about sync. Go to the website, fingaz.com/services, to book some services. Check out Disco. All the links in the description below, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, peace.